tuning into spirit.
This meeting is being recorded.
Spirit showing us the timing of being presented on the stage and the actions that we're to take. And one word that has been with me a little bit these past few days is responsibility. And I heard someone say responsibility was our response to our abilities. So the response to our abilities speaks to our gifts, and each and every one of us here today have gifts. And I think that as time has been going on, we've learned more about our gifts, whether we have fully tapped into them 100%, whether we are still learning them, we are aware that we are powerful. We are aware that there is something within us. We are aware that there is something different about us. And so now, for each and every single one, it's almost a moment of graduation to where you're being presented on the stage to have to be front and center, to take those steps, to take those initiatives. And so for a lot of you want to go back to that email when we talked about the why, and the why being the capital Y and the split, and seeing out of our eyes and getting the full view, getting the full spectrum. And now what you realize is that you're on stage. So this speaks to the audience. This speaks to seeing how others see you, seeing how you show up in the world, seeing how this is even making me feel, just the element of fire altogether. I feel the energy of Leo here as well. And this could be preparation, getting us towards August. And our spirit's been talking a little bit even about that Lionsgate. So these are things that we want to start getting prepared for, getting our mind ready for. And spirit is really saying, like, not prepared for, it's action. It's like you've already been prepared. So now you can expect, see, the call of the muse. You can expect the call. So again, the call, there's a response, there's an action to take. And the muse speaks to the creator, speaks to the artist, speaks to your abilities again. And it's interesting because this card is number 31, and we know 3 + 1 is 4, and 4 is a number of stability, security, right? So you want to be stable, you want to be secure. And this doesn't mean financially, this is speaking to within yourself, your confidence, your security as you're on stage, as you're front and center, as you're called to perform, as you're called for others to see you. And I hear and I know that we oftentimes don't care what people think, but when you are working for a spirit, you're not caring what people think, but again, you're aware of how you're showing up. You're aware of the presentation. You're aware that that there are reflections, like, and that's the responsibility and accountability that you're there for. This could be somewhat emotional, but I don't feel these emotions are like negative, turmoil, chaotic type of emotions. These emotions are really like inspirational. They're the feeling of like, wow. They're the feeling of, even if you don't feel necessarily completed, like, that there's more ahead, that there's more to come, that this is just like a you're still in motion of it all, but it's an overwhelming feeling to know and to accept and to experience that calling onto stage, to know that I was called, you were called. You understand? So there's even, we'll say, like, just gratitude, overflow, overwhelming, right? And if you're not experiencing this now, you can expect to experience it as we move forward. So, and then as I say move forward, I was getting ready to pick another card, not pick, but another card has came out, and in this card, it just kind of took me back to the movement, to the motion, to the flow, right? And then this again makes me just highlight to you your actual abilities, the abilities that are within you. A lot of you can focus on somewhat of like exercise, yoga, things where it's about flexibility and adjustment and just free motion. Some of you guys might get involved in dance, or just maybe not even on a level on that sense, but just finding yourself dancing and feeling free flowing, and just kind of feeling, it's more like an essence right now. There's an essence, and that's why I speak to the emotion so much, because there's a feeling within you. Now, equilibrium highlights again. This is the next card. This card is number 32. That's 5. So if you notice, we went from the 4 to the 5, right? And it's interesting. I love this because I'm using a new deck today. So you guys know that 615 is 666, right? So we have an emphasis of 6. We have 4, 5 today as we gather 6, right? And then 7. We also have 7 viewers present here. So if you can kind of see these graduate of steps and how, like I said, we've already been prepared, right? We've already been prepared. So take time to, that's why I said yoga, exercise, just dancing, flowing, because you want to be in a place where you can easily receive. And some of like my affirmations personally have used the word ease. I want things to come with ease, right? So that means that I want to be going with the current. I don't will to go and resist the current. I want to go with the current, right? Now, ease doesn't necessarily mean easy. It doesn't mean that it's going to be a piece of cake necessarily, but it means that it's divine for me, right? It's divine for me. It's in line with me. So it's nature, it's nurture, it's flow. This is why I say it's like elegance. There's an elegance here. This also kind of reminds me. I remember some time ago we spoke about mercy, right? And you guys have many of you even personally one-on-one have heard me utilize the nature of mercy. But we can't speak about mercy without grace. And this is where I feel like grace is really showing up. This is why there's a movement and an elegance, right? This also again speaks to your abilities. Many of you guys have more than one abilities, right? It's not just one. It's not just one. And a lot of times when one shows up to you, it's within the study of one that you introduce another. So it starts to expand more and more. For me, vision, and then I started hearing, and then, but you can't even, it's an experience. It's an experience. So this is why it's all about action. This is why it takes your work, it takes your effort, it takes your initiative. Now, there's a lot going on within your gut. Some of you guys can have anxiety, nervousness, because you know what is happening, you know what's occurring. Some of you guys could actually have found yourself maybe throwing up, feeling nauseous. Some of you, this could also be because of the ringing in your head. You might have saw the post in regards to ascension symptoms, right, in that email. So again, this is a highlight that some of you are experiencing ascension symptoms. And if you are, you want to contact us, Celeste does personal Reiki, myself, so that we can assist you through those actual ascension symptoms. Again, bringing ease. Is it easy? No, because it's an experience, but you have tools and resources. This also reminds me of resources, because abilities is an extension of resources, right? Resources and ability goes hand in hand. That's what makes it multi-dimensional, right? Some of you guys can be or utilize the lotus flower, study the meaning of lotus flower. And it's funny too, because the lotus floats on water, right? So it really kind of brings that water element. So to me, this speaks to also the time of Gemini as far as duality. We have fire here, but we have water just by the state of being, right? This card says quieting the mind. So we talked a little bit about mental health. The mental health has highlighted for all beings, but we also spoke about the males, right? The males' mental health. So this is something to think about as far as when you're dealing with others and when you're dealing with self. Sometimes you have to really quiet your mind. Sometimes those health issues or those, we'll say, we're going to go for the psych. When we're aware of the psych and there's too much, there's a lot of activation in the psych, it's on us to go and just kind of be present and breathe and feel those things through. There's actions that you need to take when you feel and experience this. That's not just to sit there and just, kind of go through it. It's an indication to go do something, whether that be go take a walk, go work out, yoga, breathing, hiking, I don't know, music, dancing, whatever that is for you, doing maybe some art, some creativity. It's saying that's that overflow, right? It's saying do something, take this energy and make something of it, utilize me. Now we have card number 47 coming out. Boom. Utilize me. Now remember, I said there's a lot going on in the gut, so this is a lot of emphasis here too. So a lot of you guys might even be finding yourself putting your hands on your stomach. That's covering your hips, your uterus, your navel area. So we're looking at root, sacral, solar plexus. But also you can't get into that without the heart. You see, the heart is here too. Some of you guys can be pregnant, or pregnancy can be a conversation or something that you want to be mindful of. Um, um, this also speaks to Mother Nature being pregnant and why you're going to be seeing so much things come out and come forth, why you're being presented on stage, why the timing is now. You understand? Like, why the calling? Why would they call now? Because mother's giving birth, right? Um, these are very sacred experiences. So this message kind of goes in relation to paying attention to those clouds and people seeing things in the clouds. Right? When I said seeing things, the eye comes out. So people seeing things. It's funny too, because this key really stands out to me. This key. So what keys do you hold? What resources do you hold? What has Spirit given you, and how do you utilize it? When you have a key, you don't just walk around with it. And again, this anxiety and the feelings in this gut, this rumbling, this tumbling, could be even the bubble guts, right? You'd be like, damn, I think I got a boo-boo. And sometimes that's just before something exciting happens, right? And just before something exciting happens. So it can be the anticipation of having to use the key, wondering what's behind the door. A lot of you guys need to hear the reminder of trusting the unknown, right? Just trusting the unknown. And sometimes that's what the anticipation is. It's, oh my goodness, because you know what you're getting ready to witness. You know what you're getting ready to witness. Okay, now inside this eye, I'm seeing some people don't feel confident and they don't feel secure. You know, some people truly don't. They feel very like, oh, no. It would be like dragging you and pulling you to get onto the stage, or to know that you are front and center, or to know that there's going to be some type of spotlight on you. You're like, oh, hell no. But that is, so this lets me know that a lot of us need to be ready to like overcome our fears, to face our fears, to see the areas that feel like they're limiting us, or make us feel restricted in any way, or make us feel incapable. So just like we speak of abilities, the equal and opposing of that would be incapabilities. So this is where you feel, what do I want to say? I want to use the word like disabled, right? Areas where you feel disabled. Maybe and mark this as a savvy soul confirmation. There'll be a focus on the actual disabled, the handicap. You might notice there might be wow, okay. That could also be one of the side effects, and maybe something that we start witnessing in people, where they start having issues with their extremities. They can't, you know what I'm talking about? Like, yeah. There's some pain and some tension in this. But notice this. Okay, so there's a lot of attention on the heart, but this is like heart bursting, right? And this is also very nurturing. This also shows me duality as well. But either way, you know what? There's a key. It's still a lot in a key, right? So this lets me know that there is initiative that we have to take. We have to open up that key. We have to open up the chambers to our heart. Ashe? It's time that we open the chambers to our heart. And what can come out of your heart, what is exposed from that heart space, you know, that could be where some of the fear and anxiety, facing your fear, seeing the truth, seeing yourself, seeing even seeing these things, even yep, as soon as I said seeing these things, I feel like we're going to be witnessing. I don't feel like this is necessarily us. I think we're going to be seeing some things here coming up in the near future. And they can be hard to see. They can be difficult to see. It can be the ending of some things as well. That can be a little difficult of a transition, but we are here, right? And at the end of the day, this is something, again, that Mother Nature is giving birth to. So, ooh, I love that security came out, right? And security is what we talked about initially. So because you know this, because you're aware of this information, this is why you should be confident. This is Mother Nature's doing. This is Mother Nature's stage. This is Mother Nature's calling. So whatever we're witnessing, even though it can be difficult, it can hard to see, it's some disabilities, it may be cringing, right? Um, um, be secure in your placement. Be secure in it was already written in stone, you know? Be secure in the flame. Be secure in the fire. Be secure in what is being ignited, not what is being what has been ignited. Enlightenment. There will be a lot of things that come to your attention and come to your awareness. This goes back to exposure, which you're going to see. It says exposed and revealed, right? A lot of truths coming out. Truths don't always feel good. Sometimes, not sometimes, most of the time we know that something is truth because it actually hurts, you know? We have to face it. We have to deal with it. We like, damn, I felt that in my stomach. I felt that in my gut. I know it's true. I know this is real. I know. But because you know, this is where your security comes from. This is where there's a power in knowing. And this is why you guys always hear me utilize the word know, but the K is silent. The K silent makes it what? Now. So now is your presence. Presence is your power. And this is where free motion and free movement. And remember, we say kind of that fluidity, getting back to that dancing, getting back to flexibility, getting back to making adjustments, getting back to being able to go through the highs and the lows. This is, Prayon, she gave me a word, and it was integration. To integrate would be how free flowing. See, we're very free in spirit, but we still have to be in the body. So this led us to the temple, the body. The body has to be used, right? So when you're going through this, when you receive and you know that you're being called, I want you guys to say, how do you want me to use me? How can I be used, Spirit? How can I be a service, Spirit? How do you need me to show up, Spirit? And the thing is, you have the ability, which is the responsibility, which is the gift, to show up as your best self. And yes, it can be overwhelming. Why? Because you have to see yourself as your best self. That in itself, is a lot. It's like, oh my gosh, I never knew I was this. I never knew I was that, right? A lot of you guys have some decisions and choices to make, especially once what is seen comes to light. Once this occurs, and you really get a clear vision. See if you guys can see in the eye. Maybe you make out what you see. Right? Because we know that whatever you're looking at is reflection. This also, to me, I see time in here. Right? And there's a separation in time and space. Some of us are moving in space and some of us are moving in time. And those are two different worlds and realms, whether you want to believe it or not. But again, integration. Integration is the spirit and the body. The spirit is inner body, right? So we know that we're not the body, that we are actually the spirit. But sometimes being in the body can make it challenging because of what we witness in being the body. My two eyes have to see. I am exposed to, I am in this, right? Although I'm in here though. So that's the integration that has to take place. And sometimes that can be difficult, but the easier you can maneuver, and that's why I went back to movement. And movement is graceful. And movement is it's not against the current, it's with the current. It's in flow. It's in nature. Is that always easy? No, but moving in ease. So a lot of you should be practicing freedom. And what's going to be difficult about that is that we've never really saw freedom before. This would be the first for some of us. Stability again and security. So when you know that you're being called to be the first, if you're the first in your generation, if you're the first in your line, I need you to know that God, source, spirit made you that. That means you were made with the abilities. That means you always held the capabilities, right? It's on you to go back there and grab your cape. and know that you have the power for you to feel and say, I can do this. I know I was born for this. And you take charge, right? And charge is where that fire, that's that Sagittarius energy. Charge is the father. That's the protector. That's the one that stands out first, right? Before, when the front door opens, the father goes first, the head, right? At the same time, though, there is, again, this balance, this duality as to why grace shows up. Mercy and grace go hand in hand. I might even consider whether mercy is actually a masculine element. Mercy. And grace be the feminine. What I want you to know, though, here, too, is that each of you have the tools. That's why I say you withhold the capabilities. The power is within you. So no, the K is silent. No now. If only I knew then what I know now, always will apply. There's never a time where that's not going to apply. So that also gives you an opportunity at every moment as well. An opportunity to what? To write the story, to change the story, to you know what I mean? You are the creator. That goes back to the muse. You are the creator. You're the one that's dancing. You're the one that's performing. You're the one that is reflecting. You're the one that's beaming. You're the one that people see. You're the God there present. If you are love, then love stands before hate. If you are life, life stands before death. If you are truth, truth stands before lies. If you are, you understand? So remember, the audience. If I'm standing before lies and there's a purpose and there's a power in me being the truth, right? If I'm standing before hate, then there's a power and a purpose of me being love, right? That's love in spite of the conditions. That means that I am who I am and I'm not changing based on no conditions here outside of self. I am who I am. I'm solid and I'm firm and I'm confident, right? Go back to that fire. So this is the story. This now speaks to me as far as your legacy, right? And this is why I also spoke about generations and a lot of us being the first of our generation, the first of our time. If the book of Revelations is the last book, then guess what? Who is the writer of the next book? You are. This is why you're accountable and you're responsible. I also see the feather here, and the feather is a form of communication. That is, the feather is communication. Some of you guys, if you guys are into we'll say like Egyptian. If the Egyptians speak to you, you might tap into Thoth's energy, which is the bookkeeper, the record keeper, right? The legend. A legend is actual, like a ledger, right? It keeps account. It keeps record of. So you guys want to really highlight that account and record of. Accountability, just like you have an account. You have an account summary, right? It says merry motive. So your motive makes me think of your intention. What is your intention? Now your intention goes back to those decisions that you have to make, especially after you have seen. Your decisions and your choices, and they depend on you, because at the end of the day, your freedom, your flexibility and adjustment is your ability to exercise free will. But guess what? You're responsible of your story. You're responsible of the legacy. You're responsible for what happens next. And at the end of the day, the power, the capabilities are always within you. So you should feel accountable and responsible. You should know that the responsibility is mine, which is my response to my abilities, my response to my gifts. Do I take my gifts for granted? Right? A lot of you guys have heard me say that application is the wisdom. So after you get the enlightenment, the awareness, the consciousness, what do you do with it? You have to apply it. And to me, this goes back to that heart space, because what's going to motivate you? What's going to drive you? What's your intention? Is it pure? Is it with vanity? Do you have your own hidden motives and reasons and rhymes? Or is it literally in flow, in nature, with spirit? Look at that flow in nature. The dualities, they move like this. This is the full, the new moon. This is the cycles. This is what it's all about. But it's led by your heart space. Now your heart space, again, goes to the timing of Leo. So Leos can really stand out here. You guys have choices to make. Integration, right? Integration, separation, and it really depends on how you see it. You could be moving to this place, or you could be coming from this place and moving into this place, right? You're kind of here in the middle, and you have to see yourself. Does anybody have any questions? It's card number 4. We have a good amount of people here tonight. I thank you guys all for being present. So, because you guys are all present, utilize this gateway, utilize this opportunity, utilize this I want to say this rare moment, because the reason why I say rare is because not everybody has the opportunity to know. Not everybody has the awareness, or I'll say that people don't use it. You have the opportunity to utilize it, so you can have a diligence. You should be able to move through and see things a lot different. And when the shadow presents itself, you know that I am present. You know the dualities, so you can move through this. And remember, go back to the clouds as well. That cloud message is not over. Continue to watch the skies. Continue to watch. Some of you guys might take pictures and capture those moments. Yes, continue to watch the skies. Continue to pay very close attention to the weather here moving forward. Things like electromagnetic, things with electricity, things in regards to power, things in regards to outages, volts, the voltage. There's even like I don't want to say it. Some people can experience like getting electrocuted. So just pay attention to electricity. Pay attention when you're plugging things in. Pay attention where there might be current or energy running through something and you pick it up. Pay attention to the conductors of things, right? So if something had energy running through it and it could shock you, you would have to think about what conductor, what I would use wood to move it. I couldn't just grab it because I would shock myself, right? So this really calls us to focus. Even shocks, you guys could actually be shocking people. You might notice the shocks more often. This is going to call you to focus. Really focus. Really focus. You don't have time to be lollygagging and shit. Like, you went through a transformation for a reason, for a purpose. You hold the information that you hold for a purpose. You have to utilize it. I mean, you can sit on your hands if you want to, but that would be like a fool. Literally, like a fool. You guys, some of you need to know when to take it easy, when to take a rest. The heat is up. Again, the weather, there's a lot going on in the atmosphere. Atmosphere is something you guys should pay attention to. So when you start feeling, if your body is talking to you, listen to it. If you feel dehydrated, you must hydrate. Don't hydrate for a second and keep doing what you're doing. No, rest, rejuvenate, allow yourself time, really restore and replenish yourself, because you can't just be out there on the field without the care. So the focus also is self-care, but it's not just your hair, your nails, and different things like that. It's real care for yourself. Like, man, I have a headache, so what do I need to do? Why do I have a headache? Oh, I have this is going on. So, paying attention to your health, really. Paying attention to your health. Making sure you're ready. You're healthy, you're able, your capabilities, you're capable. There's no disabilities. Attention on the disabled. The handicapped. Some people can be handicapped. Yeah, for sure. Know your motive. Know your intention. Because this is the year of, we have 666 today. We had 666 on June 6th. And we have 666 on June 24th. This is the year of the 6. Karma is balancing itself out. You must know your motive. You got to know what's leading you, what's driving you, what's making me do what I do, what makes me want what I want. Those are the type of decisions and choices that I'm talking about. And I love it because card number 42 comes out, which is 6. So smoke and mirrors. You guys know how powerful the mirrors are. Those smoky mirrors. This reminds me that at every level is a new devil. This also reminds me of mirror, mirror on the wall, right? What's your intention? What's your motive? What's the when you have a certain request or you're praying for something, why are you praying for it? This is what you have to see. This is where you have to know. This is your now. This is your presence. And sometimes you have to really get a good look. So this is card number 36 that lets me know 9 completion. You guys, this is a time where you really have to get a good look. You have to utilize discernment. Maybe that's why the keys showed up so much, because I always say that discernment is a key. You got to utilize discernment. To become a master of discernment means you have to be in the midst of deception. Feel foggy, things can feel smoky, things can feel disabled, restricted, distorted, right? But it's because you're a master and you have your abilities, and it's giving you the environment to actually utilize your abilities. That's why it's a performance. That's why it's a reflection. That's why it's a show. That's why you've been called. And the most important thing is to see yourself, to be a witness to you. So as these things move forward and we see some of these difficult times kind of moving up ahead, and we go through some of these changes, but we witness ourselves in it all, again, know that the abilities are within you. Utilize them based on your decisions and your choices. Like, you be accountable. I love it. So I'm going to show you these 3 cards. Adventures, right? You have the right to explore. You have the right to discover. You have the right to know. You have the right to. So moving forward, as you move forward, as you go along, know your intention. Know what drives you. Know if you have any hidden motives, if there's any vanity in your heart. Know what you're holding in your heart space. Flexibility. Now look at that. The tiger shows up. You know, a lot of you guys can also be experiencing what's the word? Shape-shifting. Seeing shapeshifters or experiencing shape-shifting on yourself. An example with that would be like, y'all see a bumblebee with me a lot? Well, a bumblebee to a tiger. Both of them have stripes, right? It's a transformation. So these are things that go into your vision too, to what are exposed. And those are some of the things that can affect you emotionally as well. When you start seeing things and you start seeing shape-shifting or different things happen right in front of your very eyes. So be mindful of your placement, be mindful of your mental, your mind as you go through them. If you have any of those symptoms or you feel like, I don't know what's going on, utilize your resources. You don't have to go through things alone. Be wise and protect yourself. Protect yourself. How can you utilize protection? I would often say nature. Nature. While in nature, pay attention to the weather. Again, the weather is going to show us a lot. Sometimes your path is not always as clear, but it doesn't mean that it's not there, right? Sometimes your path is not always as clear, but it does not mean that it is not there. So this speaks to me to diligence. It would be diligence of you to take your time and make sure that, and to see your path. This reminds me of lean not onto your own understanding. Your path will be made straight if you trust in spirit. Does anybody have any questions? Does anybody that have anything that they want to share as far as their full moon and Sagittarius experience, or something that they might be going through that somebody could learn from?
I do have a question about like one of the symptoms of like of what you said I forgot exactly what is it that you said. Like
Ascension
basically,
symptoms.
yes. So a couple of days ago, I kept feeling like you know that feeling when you feel like something's gonna happen and nothing happens yet, but you're just like you know, like you just have to come back to yourself, meditate, like while you're in the car. Like I was feeling that like for a couple of days straight, but I just thought like maybe I was, you know, maybe I personally thought like maybe something bad was gonna happen, because that's kind of what I was I was taught.
Anticipating. Right.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh my god, maybe something's bad gonna happen. I'm like calling and seeing if everyone's okay, but it's still been going like that. But I've been able to like manage it down the way. Oh, did she go? Oh, she's still here. I don't know.
I think we lost her. Hold on, let me see if I can get her back.
Okay.
Oh, here she is.
As far as that one thing I used to experience that, and one thing I had to learn, number one, you can be very in tune with Mother Nature herself. So as Mother Nature is going through those feelings and those emotions and those birthings, and you've given birth, so you know how all that occurs in or us, right? So you can feel those things. And one thing that you might have to start processing is if you're feeling your own emotions, or are you feeling the emotions of others? And that's a part of like channeling. That's a part of channeling. So sometimes we're not always channeling ourselves, but because we're so sensitive and we begin to just pick up on energy, right? So then we have to discern. This is where discernment comes in, whether this is my own energy or this is another energy. And this goes into our gifts, because this is what's going to help you kind of like iron and sharpen your gifts, and knowing what emotions are yours and knowing what are others, learning how to really balance and stabilize yourself. Because I know what you mean when you can feel like, but what did it get you to do? Breathe, right? And breathing is so important. That the minute you start breathing like that is when you start really connecting with source, spirit, because spirit means breath. So that would be, again, when I said when you feel stuff in your body, that's your indication. It's like spirit saying, get up and go meditate, go walk, go dance, because you want to start channeling that energy there. You want to utilize that source and use it. So while you were talking, I pulled a card for you, and you have the Four of Swords. So with you, there's a lot of mental, and there, this also to me speaks to the air element, and this can be your heavy communication. We're in Gemini, right? And Mercury is in Gemini, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of communication. Now, Gemini has two twins, so there's two sides. So when you start hearing those right and left hemispheres working, your logic and your intuition working, then what do we talk about?
Right.
Integration. Integrate to make it whole. So those meditative spaces, that yoga space, those working out, whatever it is to help channel, to get that breath going, to exert energy, that's what's going to help you kind of stabilize and balance everything. You can also work with putting your hands on your heart, because I know that your heart beats really, really fast when this happens.
Yeah.
So kind of like stabilizing your heart rate by, and kind of hold your breath in your chest, in your heart, and really work with that chakra, the heart chakra. Okay. Is there anybody else that experience ascension symptoms or things where they're like they're channeling? Is there people that they feel and know that they actually have the ability to channel?
Yeah, I do. But sometimes it's just, it all hits me a lot and I don't really know what it's supposed to mean. Like for me, it's definitely numbers. Literally every day I see every angel number in order, like starting from 111 all the way to 555, and then I'll see 12, 12, 12, and then it's literally all day. It's like I see it so much, I don't even know like if I'm supposed to be paying attention to it or I don't know. And then I've been having like really bad digestive issues, and I don't know why, because I try to eat healthy for the most part, but it's like to the point where like I can't drink water. I can't do anything without like my stomach's hurting. I can't have bowel movements. It's just, I don't know.
Okay. So with you, I feel like you're not listening to yourself. And the reason why I say that is because a lot of things you actually do know, but you just have a difficult time trusting in yourself. And so for this time, I feel like it's going to lead you back to your childhood, because a lot of the trust of yourself leads back to your childhood. This is why there's some, like when we spoke about disabilities or restrictions with connecting with yourself, it goes back to your childhood, because I don't feel that there was a lot of like affirmations or positivity that, as far as people, outside people, what was being spoken to you, over you, through you, around you, right? So you might not have been around a lot of the confidence and the security and the to really trust in self. Sometimes you might be one that goes and acts, right? So when you see your 111222 for you, I want you to sit with yourself. Don't go and look it up. Don't ask not a soul what it means. You sit there in that moment, whenever you received it, get a journal, carry your journal with you or a notebook, and just put a date and a time. And if it's 444, Spirit, what does that mean? What does that mean? And look forward to Spirit showing you, look forward to hearing, look forward to receiving what it means. Don't ask anything outside of you. Now, if something outside of you shows itself where you know for a fact, like, damn, then you follow up and you just write a new note, put another date, and it might be the same date, right? And you just put a different time. And this kind of keep account of what your experiences are, so that you can gain confidence in your experience. You want to gain confidence in communicating with Spirit. You want to gain confidence in knowing what Spirit is talking to you. And the minute that you do that, because it's not going to take you long. It's not going to take you long. If you put forth your work, you're going to start seeing things move more fluidly. As far as your water, do you drink cold water?
It's sometimes cold, sometimes it's room temperature.
Okay, so get in the process of maybe starting with a tea in the rising, things that are warm, maybe not too hot, just kind of like lukewarm. But you do need to get your fluids in, because water is a form of communication too. And anything that you're rejecting, if you're unable to keep that in, it's because of your inability to listen to yourself. So again, that goes back to, oh, my body's telling me something. So it's not, I don't know. That's when Spirit is like, what you mean you don't know? You know damn well, right? That goes back to the K being silent. And when the K is silent and no, what is that? Now. So you can begin now. You can begin today. This day forward, you don't have the mercy. You don't have the excuse to say, oh, I don't know. My stomach, my gut is acting up because I'm not trusting in myself. Every time I see these confirmations, I don't know what they mean. So I just, instead of knowing that I'm put there for a reason, for a purpose, right? And so now you can even get excited because you're like, damn, Spirit's communicating with me. And it was one-on-one, like I can build. So use this as a like an energetic time. Like use that fire and that flame and that air to get excited about. Like get a journal that you like, get a pen that you like. I don't know, make it. I don't know if you do it at a certain time at night. If you make your tea with it, if you pray over your tea for healing. Look at herbs too that are good to heal, soothe your stomach. I think lavender would be really good with soothing your stomach. I have an herbalist. She might be here tonight and she can give you recommendations on different herbs that you can use. Okay.
Okay.
Is there anybody else that maybe have a recommendation on an herb or that has similar experiences or that have learned their own way to be able to trust in their self?
Yeah, I can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, using like ginger and turmeric. That was my go-to when I started having digestive issues. Like drinking it warm, and it helps. And
You want to write down ginger and turmeric.
because I be having ascension symptoms all the time. Like I could actually feel when the energy is coming in, like the waves of it coming in. Like it hits me hard.
And we also have yellow dock. That's another herb we can use is yellow dock.
Mm-hmm.
Pray. Because when things like that hit you hard, and like you said, you can almost feel it before it really, really gets you.
what's your best method of like grounding and stabilizing and finding support?
Sometimes I just sit and just be, like you say, present. I just have to sit there. Sometimes I gotta take a shower. Sometimes I have to just lay down. Sometimes I actually have to go outside and just be in the sun.
Ashe. And I love the just be, because that takes us back to now, right? It takes us now. It takes us to that moment. The other recommendation as far as shower, the shower is where I really channel a lot of energy. Like, so many answers come when I'm in the shower. But as we were talking, I also peeled, it's card number 24, right? So that's 6. But this card is to let go. So sometimes that can be our indication to surrender as well. And I think that's what Prey is saying, where you just let it be. And sometimes you got to go lay down, kind of stabilize, support yourself. But it's that process of release and surrender. Would you agree? Also, this heart space again. So I think there's a real big attention on the heart chakra right now too. Not think, obviously, clearly, clear as day.
Yeah, my heart chakra, I've been feeling that a lot lately.
And then we have, I'm looking at the chat. So we have tap in on back pain. Okay. Hold on. Chat. Back pain in the center of the spine. Not pain, but more so uncomfortable, even during certain stretches. Almost feeling like it's going to snap. Okay. So let's see about that. Got a back pain. Remember when I said you almost want to put your hands on your root, solar, sacral type of energy? You just want to like hold it. So again, it really gives me the energy of pregnancy, number one. And that isn't just physically, like it can also be just that mother nature, those pains, those birthing pains, but it's a beautiful energy that's coming through. So let me see something. Great and full comes out, which also speaks to me that overflow. And that was card number 4. And then you have a deep breath. A deep breath. So it kind of reminds me of what Prey said a little bit too, when you can feel things coming, so we anticipate. And I think that our body, our temple, because our body, our temple is a protection. So just as we, inner source, know, because we're in our now, the temple experiences the impact before it ever reaches inner source, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense, right? The temple, the vessel receives impact, receives it first before it ever entered, right? But the one that is inner, seeing the outer view, is experiencing the impact on the vehicle, on the temple, on the body. So that would be our indication, like again, responding to those tensions, responding to those, because the tension is an indication, it's telling you something. So you really want to, and then you go and put your hands on it, because I see a lot of us have the ability to heal in our hands, and this goes to our capabilities. So spirit has to create a condition, an element that would get you to lay hands on self and see yourself, heal thyself, move energy, transmute energy. This is why you're called to the stage in a sense. Does that make sense? Like, this is a lot of channeling energy. And channeling is a part of, like, you have to learn to channel. And it can be very overwhelming. This is where some people get labeled psychotic and crazy, schizophrenia, and all these different things, because they don't know how to express, translate other people. They don't know how to interact. What's happening, it becomes, it's like, so
This is why, if you notice, is the wands really keep showing up, and the wands to me is just speaking to that we already have the ability is within us, but it's going within ourselves and pulling out the ability, which is the responsibility, which is, you understand, the response to our ability. So the response to what is already within us, to utilize it. And once you utilize it, then you gain the wisdom, the experience, the capability to know. So you no longer have any disabilities or restrictions or handicaps. You understand? Like, and this is how you move into a more freer flow. It goes back to that muse card, that free flow, that elegance, bringing forth that elegance. So you have to move through the tension, right? And you know that anything that grows and expands too, there's always that tension, there's always that pain, that uncomfortability, but it's the knowing, the now that I'm in a new space. I'm in a whole new space. Do a lot of you guys feel like you're on the beginning of a cycle, an end of the cycle, or do you feel like you're in the middle of it? Holly says end. Think about it. Do you feel like you're at the end of a cycle, the beginning of a cycle, or in the midst of a cycle? Woo. Jade says moving towards the end. Let me peep these comments real quick. Ajay says the middle. So we got Amber in the beginning. So we can see that everybody is on somewhat a different transit, right? A different placement, a different space, a different time. And you know what card comes out? Card number 44, which is 8, which is that infinity, which is, right, those two halves. But this card says a divine matrix. Ooh-wee. I really want you guys to see this stuff. And this even reminds you of the eye, and the eye, the portal, the entry, right? The dimensions too. There's different layers, there's different depths to it. Some people, you know what? And this also translates to, it reminds me, can you guys see this? Like the swirl. So, you know, in the swirl, it starts in small in the inside and it gets bigger and bigger like that. So it's kind of like that, us being on different points like that, which actually reminds me of planets, the solar system. See what I'm saying? And each person is a planet. Each person is a planet. So this really is an indication too, to get into your studies. You got to get into your studies. You got to get into your transits to see where you are in placement. You really want to get into your chart. And it's something that you should be looking at every day. You should be looking at your chart every day, getting in tune with your astro, your horoscope every day. And then look at this. Same card, but if you notice, because this is the mind, this is a being down here looking straight. The face is not even, we can't even see the face because the being is moving forward, but his mind is open. His crown is open, right? That's another thing too. So thank you, Spirit. When you're going through all of those ascensions and you're getting all those downloads, your crown is open. So one thing I had to learn, I'm so glad Spirit brought this to my attention, to close my crown. You almost have to learn how to close it. And how would I explain that? Because you become so open. That means you're almost susceptible to anything. You're picking up on everything, which means you're almost you can pick up on debris. Just imagine moving through space. There's meteors, there's debris, there's this, there's that. There's so much in the atmosphere. So you have to somewhat create you kind of like have to learn how to close it up. And yes, your breathing techniques and your grounding techniques, that's really what helps you. I was hearing that it made me wear a head wrap yesterday to protect. Yes, a head wrap is a great way to protect your crown. And even when you're being aware of spaces, you know, you're going into every grocery store, you're going into the mall, you're going into places where you're just very, a lot of access to you. Even wearing, I know it's hot right now, but sometimes we have to wear more clothes. We have to really protect ourselves, right? So these are things that you want to think about too. Think about entry points. Where am I exposed? Because we saw the exposed in the reveal card, and we saw that eye. So where do I see myself overly exposed? Where can I find more guard and protection? Because there is a lot going on, and it can have a big effect inner you because of your crown. Do you want to be so closed that you can't receive anything? No. But to me, this also speaks to self-control, just like your heart. Go back to your hands on your heart. It beats, right? There's a rhythm. So same thing with your crown. There's an opening and there's a closing. You understand? There's an extension, just like that, just like everything else that we see. There's a flexibility to it. So, and the more you learn to flex it, that means that it's like a muscle. You have to work it. So this is getting us into our practices and our rituals. And really what we say, it goes to our health. Because if you ignore these things, what happens? You get backed up. You're not drinking water. You're not using the bathroom because you're not listening to yourself. Right? So spirit is like, I'm not going to let you flow if you're not flowing with me. So then we go to correct ourselves, and now it just makes us like, you can't say I don't have time or I don't have space. That means you don't have self-love. You don't. I don't care how many times you get your hair and nails done and shit like that, until you create space for yourself and you make time to breathe for yourself, and you're making yoga and you're taking notes and you're really studying yourself. That is the truth of self-love. It's not the materialistic physical things like that. This is spirit love. Ashe? Any more questions or anything anybody else wants to share before we close on this full moon? I thank all of you guys for being present. If you guys have questions or anything at a later time, you guys are welcome to email. Just respond to the email. If you guys want to book your personal readings, let me know. You also have Celeste here. She's doing personal Reiki healing and sessions. So that's something that we want to offer and extend to you. Okay, and she's also doing personal care packages. So if there's different things within this ascension that you want to express and you're having these difficulties with, and you need healing packages, so you want to reach out. We have other members in the tribe as well that are very educated with these things. If a pregnancy does show up or anything of that nature, because we talked a little bit about that, know that there are doulas here on site as well. There are people to help you to move through these times of birthing. Okay. I thank you guys again. We are welcome to donations. If you'd like to leave a donation, we have the Cash Apps for Celeste and I posted in the chat. Screenshot, let us know if you need that information. And if Celeste, you don't have anything else, we can prepare for close.
I just want to say thank you all for coming out tonight. I hope to see you all on the new moon. I believe it's in Cancer on the 28th. So mark that down on your calendars and have a good night. And drink your water, hydrated.
Yes, use those herbs and check your guys' emails too.
Cheers.
Emails are going to still be coming through.